All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of the Great Millstone, who are very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim her pushing this gospel in truth and in sincerity to the best of their ability given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is Brother Quanah Wath coming back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will, straight to the point. This is, the elder Apostle Gabar, his page, Daily Edification 4. Right, go subscribe and be edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. But he did a lesson, as you see right here, 1917 China. Look how dark-skinned the Moabites were, and which is beautiful, man. It's good, beautiful lesson, right? Ultimately shows you that, all this, this whitewashing we see here, right? It's incorrect, it's incorrect, man. A lot of the, as the elder Apostle Gabar, made a statement, he actually quoted, I think it was Elder High Priest Ariyah, and, he quoted that statement that the Elder High Priest Ariyah made, saying that the ancient people of the nations, right, were ultimately, darker skin, because they come from the ground, right, and the ground being that dark brown, and then he also made a statement, in the video talking about how some of these Moabites could ultimately pass as Jake, right, because of how dark skinned they are, and that ultimately sparked a lesson within, my spirit to go in and touch on, the diaspora, how there's Israelites that have been scattered into these other nations, right, and began to look like, the nations that they were scattered in. I wouldn't doubt that even some of these people that you see here on the video, right, maybe some of them or a handful of them, or maybe even one or two very well could be Jake, So with that, Lord will, I'll hop into it, man. I want to grab that word diaspora first, right? It says diaspora on the online etymology. I'll read down, in the red, it says to scatter, right? And this is exactly, what has happened to the Israelites, right? They've been scattered into these other nations. And we're going to grab that in Deuteronomy 28th chapter, but I want to read this. It says the Greek word was used in Septuagint, right? In Deuteronomy 28, right? You see the Roman numerals, X meaning 10. So 2 X's is 20. The V is 5 and the 3 I's are 1 each, right? So it'd be 25 plus 3 is 8. So 28, right? It says a Hebrew word for it is galuth, right? Exile, right there, right? It says exile. Right, and the Israelites were put into exile again, right? Going back to Deuteronomy 28:68, because they did what, right? They wanted to be disobedient. They wanted to follow every other rule except for Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai's rules, right? His law, statutes, commandments. So they were put into exile, right? They were put into captivity, which brings me down to another definition, right? Of diaspora. It says the dispersion or spread of a people from their original land, right? It says people who have spread or been dispersed from their homeland, right? It says the dispersion of the Jewish people beyond Israel, which is speaking on the true Israelites, right? We're not speaking of those 1948ers, the small hats that are over there, which are really imposters, right? Pursuant to Revelations 2 and 9, right? Those are imposters, the JOOs that are over there. All right, where they got the hats on with the long side curls and this and the third, ugly as shit, ain't got no soul, right? Those are the fake JOOs, man. The true Jews are the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, that you see today, as well as the Israelites that have been scattered into the other nations that look like the other nations that they've been scattered in, but yet through the lineage of your father are Israelites, man. Which is who we're talking about today. Again, the diaspora, right? Those who have been spread, and taken from their homeland and spread across the world, right? So without further ado, let's go to Deuteronomy. And I have this pulled up, but we're going to jump to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Again, showing you, right, that spreading had taken place, right? Deuteronomy 28. And we'll start at verse 15, right? Because again, this is proof on why this happened, right? Deuteronomy 28, verse 15, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Again, so, the Israelites didn't want to listen, right? They entered into a covenant, broke that covenant. They didn't want to listen. And what happened is again, the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua sent those curses upon them, which one of those curses, as we're going to read, is being thrown into captivity, right, and spread across the world, right? Going down to Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, it says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And this is not talking about, literal physical Egypt, right? This is talking about Babylon, right, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, man, which again, the Israelites were spread into other nations as well, right? But a huge portion of the Israelites that were in captivity, right, that were put on these boats, right? Because the most recent, slave trade was a transatlantic slave trade, where you had mainly Southern Kingdom, right, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right, over there in the western parts of Africa, right, Ghana and that area, right? They were ultimately apprehended, put in chains, put on ships, and shipped all the way over to, again, the Americas, right? Mainly being North America, right? But there was also ships that were shipped in other places as well around the world, right? But this Egypt that is talking about America, right? Babylon the Great, right? Which you can read in Revelations, the 11th chapter, the 8th verse, talks about America being what? Spiritually Sodom and Egypt, man. Right, so this is what it's talking about. It's not talking about physical, literal Egypt, over there, right? It says, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, right? And that's talking about the homeland, right? It's talking about the land of Israel, right? Our homeland, right? Which we haven't gone back, but here soon. Yahweh Shai gonna crack the sky and we're gonna return home, man. It says, thou shalt see it no more again, and therefore ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And our number one enemy is the so-called white man, right? The Israelite enemy is the so-called white man, right? We know biblically called Esau, Edom, which he is the one that, again, headed, the slave trade, man, right? Beginning with the JOOs, man, the small hats, right, that are over there, right? They have a hand in a lot of the things that have happened, right, within history to the Israelites, man. They're the main ones, right? Pursuing to Psalms 83, right? It tells you that, the nations are confederate against the Israelites. And who's the number one nation, right, that it names, right? It is Esau, Edom, man, But again, nonetheless, right, we've been scattered into these nations, man. And the Lord, and again, when you take a so-called black man and you put him, in a white nation, right, and he ultimately lays down with a so-called white woman, and what happens, right? That child comes out light-skinned, right? And then let's take that same light-skinned child and put him with another, so-called white woman. Well, guess what? The melanin over the generations, right, begins to fade until that child completely looks like, a so-called white child, man, a so-called white boy, a so-called white man, or whatever it may be, and that's how, again, throughout time, the Israelites began to look like these other nations, because you have Israelites that are all shapes, sizes, and colors, man, And I don't mean pink, red, blue. I'm talking about, so-called white, so-called, Moabite, right? So-called Hamite, right? You have Israelites that look like these nations, but through the lineage of their father, right? Because it's the lineage and who you are is through your father, right? Let's go to that, right? Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. It says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, right? So if that same child that we were talking about, right, that so-called black man that is, say he's, Southern tribe, right? So let's say Judite, right? His light-skinned son that he had with that so-called white woman would still be a Judite, right? And then let's take that light-skinned boy and let him have another son with a so-called white woman. And well, guess what? That son that now looks white is still a Judite, man. Because his lineage is through his father. It's not about the mother, right? It's not about what the mother is, right? You can have a Hamite man right? A heathen Hamite man get with an Israelite woman, and guess what? They can have a child, and that child will still be a heathen, right? Because his father is a heathen. His father is a Hamite, right? That's how the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai set it up. So when you have Israel, right, Israelites being scattered across the world, right, over time, they began to look like these nations, man, right? But again, it's not about skin color, right? Because you have Israelites from all different walks of life, man. You know, let's grab that in, what is that, Jeremiah, which I had pulled up, Jeremiah 12:9, right? It says, mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird, right? And I have a picture of a speckled bird pulled up right here, right? And this is just a random one, right? It says birds of the Bible, right? Which is the reason why I clicked on it. You know what I mean? You see this speckled pigeon or whatever it is, right? Speckled pigeon, right? You see that it has multiple different colors, multiple different shades, right? And this is how Israel is, man, right? You got Israelites over there in Holland, right? You have Israelites that are over there in South America. You have Israelites that are over there in Canada. You have Israelites all over the world, man. Because that was part of the curses, right? Being spread into the four corners of the earth. That was part of the curses. You know? So again, since, right, going back, right, decades, right, 100 centuries, going back centuries, right? And that Moabite one that we seen was literally, as the elder apostle Gabar, stated, was 107 years ago. And you had Moabites that were dark skinned. And when you look at the Moabites now they're all light skinned, right? So it doesn't take long to phase out, right, that dark skin, man, right? It doesn't take long, right? A few generations, 3-4 generations, and you got a so-called black man having white kids, man, down the line. Their great grandfather, right? It looks like a so-called black man, but yet they look white, just like an Edomite, but yet they're Israelites, man, because we just read, right, Numbers 1:18, right there, the lineage is through your father, man. And this is why you have Israelites coming into this truth that look like so-called white folks, Israelites that look like so-called Moabites, and Israelites that look like so-called Hamites, right? But yet through the lineage of your father, right, are Israelites, because it's not about the skin color. It's not about what you look like. It's about the spirit, man. Let's grab that. And I don't want to make this too long. I just kind of want to hit the points, right? That you have Israelites that look like every nation that are coming into this truth, man. But they're Israelites. They're not of these other nations, right? They were born and raised in these nations, but yet they're Israelites, man. This is Romans chapter 8, and what is that, verse 16? Boom. It's in verse 16. It says, the spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. And you got a lot of the nations, right, that hear this truth. Hey, they'll bear witness with it, man. Why? Because they're Israelites, man. Only an Israelite spirit can bear witness with this truth. Only an Israelite spirit can bear witness with this truth. Right now, you have a lot of dudes that, that fake it, right, of the Hamite nation, where you got agent provocateurs, within camps, man. But, hey, they can't receive it. They can't fully receive it. They quickly get weeded out, man. Quickly get weeded out because they're not Israelites, or they're just not in the right spirit, And that's even within Israelites, man, because only a certain group of the Israelites, right, called the elect, right, the remnant, are able to receive this truth, man. So even within Israel, the Lord is not dealing with all the Israelites, man, in this current period of time, right? He's only dealing with the elect of the nation of Israel. But hey, nonetheless, right, the only an Israelite spirit is able to bear witness. It's like a bear witness to this truth, man. Because it's not about skin color, right? It's not about what you look like. It's about your spirit, man. And we know, again, just beating the dead horse, right? We understand that the Israelites have been scattered into other nations. So you're going to see a whole bunch of Israelites that look like a whole bunch of different nations, man. Which is a beautiful part of it, man. You got Israelites that dabble in all different types of things, man. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that, man. Again, right? I just wanted to touch on the diaspora, right? And again, Israel being scattered into these other nations, man, which is part of the curses, man. And here soon, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, is going to crack the sky and return all Israel, right, back into their homeland. That's why it said in Deuteronomy 28, it says that no man shall buy you, meaning to redeem, right? And we know that Yahweh Shai is the redeemer, right? So he's going to ultimately, when he cracks the sky, and guess what, man? We're going to be placed back in our own land, as the scriptures say, you know? But that's in due time, man, in due time, right? We're in that time where Yahweh Shai is soon going to crack the sky, you know? So keep the faith, keep pushing. Hey, we're almost out of here, man. You know, with that, Lord will, it's been edifying. Lord will, it's been straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak, Wadash, double honor to the elder apostles, elder bishops, the great millstone. Until next time, I say shalom.